Star Trek. Star Trek. Prompted by kind of everyone's reading Star Trek at the moment, I went and I read a trilogy, a modern trilogy of the Star Trek Next Generation uh, um, characters, written by David Mack, who he wrote the Cold Equations trilogy. He is somebody who's been in this industry for a while. He co-wrote a couple of stories, maybe like story by or kind of that kind of thing, or but of a couple of Deep Space Nine episodes, and was a consultant on both Lower Decks and Star Trek Prodigy. So he's somebody who's been doing it for a while. He's been writing. He's been writing Trek books since 2000, and by my very rough Wikipedia account, the three books I'm talking about today, which are part of the Cold Equations trilogy, Book 1, Persistence of Memory, Book 2, Silent Weapons, and Book 3, The Body Electric, they're all like around 2016, 2017. These are like his 25th, 26th, and 27th books he's done in this thing. He is a pro. So I'm probably putting myself in, I don't know, maybe fairly representational hands of this. This is all set 4 years after the events of Star Trek Nemesis, which that's that one with young Tom Hardy as a young Picard ish kind of creature. I do not remember that movie too well. I'm somebody who is I really like the movies. I watched most of Star Trek. I think the only thing I've tapped out of was Star Trek Enterprise and Star Trek Voyager. Neither of those, for various reasons, and mostly just storytelling, I think, on both parts. No. I mean, Star Trek Enterprise was the kind of the uber point of just kind of going from kind of Next Generation Deep Space Nine heights to just blander and blander stuff with you going Voyager and then Enterprise down. At least that is my view as a Star Trek fan. And yeah, Voyager, Discovery, it just lost me. The long form storytelling. I don't feel like they hooked on to stories that I really didn't care about. I was very happy when with Strange New Worlds they went back to kind of more like, adventure of the week with maybe a little tying things, but let's just have good solid single episodes. I like that. I liked Star Trek Prodigy. Surprisingly, actually was actually good long form storytelling over a season. That actually worked. Even though it's supposed to be the kids show and there's going to be only one more season of that. I like Lower Decks. Some people don't like, the whole kind of referential humor. It's kind of slowly developed itself into, yes, still lots of hilarious Star Trek references for us nerds out there, but also kind of I find there's an actual kind of a through line story there. Tendi is probably my favorite character. So yeah, I'm a nerd. I'm a Star Trek nerd. And I came into these books and I realized, oh, okay, I'm not that much of a Star Trek nerd. This is very much a Star Trek where it's like, oh, it's calling to other books, what's happened in other books, and it's like, to kind of build up a story, and it's referring to all these kind of non TV or movie characters by their full names, like I'm supposed to care or know who they are. Most part, I don't really care about them. I mean, okay, my first big complaint with this is it's not a trilogy. It is not a trilogy. It is three books that are sort of tangentially put together. It's like the final episodes in the season, but they're not really that connected to each other. There's no, oh, this is one big, part one episode and part two episode. No, this is one story, this is one story, and this is one story. And unfortunately, I like the first one the best and the third one the least. The first one I like the best. Probably this is the Persistence of Memory, because it focuses for a good hunk of the book on Sung, on the Data's dad. What's his name? Noonien Sung. It focuses on him. And I really enjoy, on the show, to be honest, I'm not really a fan of Brent Spiner doing anything but Data. I find he seems very hammy to me. I don't know if that's just because I've seen the actor doing Data, and it's very kind of like this. And when he starts being like this, it doesn't do so much to me. But actually, on the page, Noonien Sung actually was like, oh, this is an interesting character. I like this guy. Not like this guy, but I understand this guy, and I was like interested to hear his story and what he was doing. So that was like the high point of the first book. The second book is very much kind of interplanetary intrigue. There's the Breen who are being skullduggery and being manipulative, and it's kind of trying to do realpolitik, which I don't find that the Star Trek world is. It's a utopian world, and when they try and do that kind of stuff, especially with Starfleet, I just don't find it with the Federation and the other planets. For some reason that does not work with me. And then the third book reminded me why I fucking hated Wesley's character for the most part in the things. This isn't anything to do with the poor actor who portrays him. It's just like, oh, the character of Wesley was really poorly served, and this really reminded me of, oh yeah, whatever happened to Wesley? Oh yeah, he became like inducted into this kind of ultra human being mystic cult thing, at a very kind of an uncomfortable kind of way. This book continues that, and it's one of these science fiction stories where it's like, we can't have like, oh, there's this like one thing, there's a stake that's going to mean something to this one character, and if this one character doesn't get it, it's this super personal one thing, like I have to save one person I love, and that really focuses a story. No, it is that kind of science fiction story where it's not the world we're saving. It's not the galaxy. It's the entire universe, and entire planets are being sucked into the thing, and 1 billion people died. And I was like, I don't give a fuck. Little blips of light. I do not give a crap. I do not give a crap about it. It is so overinflated and ridiculous that it's just like, I don't care anymore. And you've got Wesley. And it's just like, it's a bunch of stuff not caring. I mean, I maybe more care about interpersonal stuff that happens between Data and the woman he loves and stuff like that. Oh, they also at some point near Worf has another girlfriend, and that woman dies, that's not a spoiler. It's a Worf girlfriend, a Worf girlfriend, a Worf wife. They all die. It's like It's the trope. It's the trope that just keeps on giving. And it's, again, just like, I'm divorced out of this. You've made no emotional contact with me. I'm just going, oh, Worf's got a girlfriend. Well, I wonder when she's going to die. Oh, yeah, she died. Yeah. It's distasteful in how little I care. So, I mean, this is really competently written. This is a guy, David Mack, who's writing these, does a really good. He is actually a writer. I've seen some Star Trek novels where I thought, these people don't know how human beings act. He gets the characters, the characters that and love, all the next generation people. They kind of act like how they're supposed to, and stuff like that. So that's all good. But it's all in service of stories that, the most interested I was with a character that isn't really embedded as much in the universe, but you also get the sense that everything is so embedded and so tight that nothing is going to move, nothing I'm going to really care about. So I doubt if I'm going to get back to, I'm going to be reading lots more of these. I'm far more likely to go back to just the ancient, somewhere way up, probably far more to go back to the old. These are what I read originally back in the day, were like, old one-off adventures of the old Star Trek crew, where they would just have one-off adventures. They'd get to focus on one story that had like a beginning and a middle and an end, and it was like, this is satisfying as here's an episode of Star Trek that I get to watch. The Cold Equations, it bills itself as a trilogy. It is not. The stories aren't just not that interesting to me. So yeah, that's my not so great review of Star Trek: The Next Generation, The Cold Equations, that trilogy. All right, more videos later.